If road presence is what a 125cc motorcycle should have, the baby Duke has it covered. That's because it may be a 125, but it's a proper sized roadster. And the KTM 125 Duke looks anything like a conventional 125cc motorcycle.
It looks almost like a carbon copy of the KTM 200 Duke. Well, that's because it shares most of its body panels, the suspension, wheels, the chassis, the body panels, lights, instrumentation, seat, everything with the KTM 200 Duke. In fact, you'd be fooled into believing this one is a 200 unless you look at the graphics which says 125. Yes, this one is the smallest Duke available in the market right now, and this one is the KTM 125 Duke. The engine is a smaller board, smaller stroke engine of the same 200cc Duke. This one 125cc engine makes about 14 bhp of power and 12 Nm of torque. But why did KTM want to introduce a 125cc Duke?
The idea is to have a model which looks like the bigger 200cc sibling, but then it has to be accessible and not so performance oriented to intimidate newbie riders. So it's primarily targeted at the young adult who is looking to get into the KTM family but may not want manic performance.
Now, KTMs have always been known to be performance-oriented motorcycles. They've got an image, particularly in India, of being sporty, very performance-oriented. But there's been a gap for an accessible and a not very intimidating Duke model. And that's the niche that the 125 Duke will likely fill. So imagine the guy who's got his first license. He may not want a performance-oriented KTM, that may be too much performance for him. Then the 125 Duke is the perfect bike for him. It handles beautifully, it performs quite well, and that's the bike stepping stone into the world of performance motorcycling.
Build quality is quite good, and the 125 Duke has got top-notch components like the 43mm upside-down front fork from WP and 10-step adjustable rear monoshock also from WP. The bike gets front and rear disc brakes, but ABS is available only on the front wheel. But it has a comprehensive full digital instrument panel, and while it misses out on LED lighting, the fit and finish is quite good.
So the big question then you want to know is, how does the 125 Duke perform? Well, we've been riding this today at the Chakan test track of Bajaj Auto's test track here in Chakan on the outskirts of Pune. And the first thing that immediately impresses is the handling. This one is as fun to ride as any Duke ever. It's easy to flip into corners left and right. It remains planted, very taut. You can put your knee down very easily. So if you're looking to get into the performance side of motorcycling, this one is a very good stepping stone into that kind of territory. Well, the 125cc engine makes about 14 bhp of power, 12 Nm of torque, not too much power, but it revs up to 10,000 RPM. Well, there are some vibes that creep in about 8,000, 8,500 RPM and beyond, but 7,500 RPM, it will cruise at 90 km per hour very easily. And we saw it touch 115 km per hour top speed. How's that for a 125cc motorcycle?
On the move, it's immediately apparent that this is a small engine. There's no mad rush of acceleration, no adrenaline pumping excitement. In fact, it takes some time to reach triple-digit figures and is happiest at between 60 and 80 km per hour. And what it lacks in performance, it more than makes up for it in its road manners and dynamics. Handling is the baby Duke's forte, and it certainly has the same bloodline as its bigger siblings. And that is more than reason enough to consider it if you want a small, easily accessible bike to hone your skills before you move on to bigger and more powerful two-wheel territory. The only thing that could be a bit of a speed breaker is the price. At more than 1 lakh rupees, some may argue that it's expensive for a 125. when you can get into the 200cc segment at that price bracket.